A major event has occurred, and your safe home is no longer safe. Will you know where to go when you need to flee the safety of your apartment or your home? Will you have what you need to grab and go and survive? We always talk about the importance of making sure your home is well prepared and stocked up in case of a disaster to ensure you and your family's survival. But no matter how much you prepare your home for all the possible scenarios that can happen, there are situations where you and your family will need to bug out to survive. It is an option that should always be on the table, especially if things go bad in your neighborhood or area, and leaving is the best option for survival. While bugging out is something I consider a worst case scenario, it is something I have a contingency plan prepared for in advance. In this video, we'll look at the things you should be aware of to give you the best chance to ensure you safely arrive at your destination. Many people prep by making sure they have a proper map in their supplies, but that's not enough to keep you alive. During a catastrophic situation, it's hard to know ahead of time what the road conditions will be or how bad things are outside. The original route you plan to take to go to your bug out location may not be safe to pass through it, or it could be completely impassable. In this situation, what will you do? Do you have a contingency plan or an alternate route to go to your location? What if that route is compromised as well? These are just some of the questions you will need to answer while preparing for your escape route. To help you with your preparation, we'll discuss these 7 things. Number 1, preparing for the bug out situation. Number 2, exodus stages you should expect. Number 3, planning the bug out route. Number 4, keeping your plan confidential. Number 5, public transportation. Number 6, personal transportation options. And finally, number 7, away from danger but still not safe. So let's jump in. Number 1, preparing for the bug out situation. As you are planning for you and your safety's potential bug out, you need to prepare for a light escape or a heavy escape. A heavy escape is where you evacuate using your vehicle. You're confident enough that you can get your vehicle out of town and into the safety of the woods or a rural area. This is the ideal bug out scenario because you can pack more supplies. However, this scenario is most likely possible if you can leave your home in the early stages of a brewing disaster. After a disaster has struck, the situation outside will continue to deteriorate until vehicles are no longer effective. You should expect after a disaster that you and your family may need to bug out on foot. If this is the case, a light escape is what you can do. This is a type of evacuation where you only need to escape with what you have on your back. This means you only need to pack the essential items and supplies that you and your family will need so you don't have a hard time traveling on foot. Though you could take your vehicle during a heavy escape, it can easily turn to a light escape with very little notice. The bags you pack for your light escape accompany you on your heavy escape. You might encounter impassable roads or other problems that can force you to abandon your vehicle along the way and continue on foot. Knowing these things is important when you are preparing your bug out bag and supplies. Expect that you will be traveling on foot, especially if your initial plan is to bug in when the disaster strikes. Put only the essential items needed, like some food and water, a first aid kit, a set of clothes, and other small but important survival items you need in your bug out bag. It's crucial that the contents of your bag will allow you and your family to survive for a couple of days, especially if that's how long it will take you to get to your bug out location on foot. Pro tip: make sure to keep your bags accessible so you can easily grab them in the event you have to evacuate your vehicle quickly. I discuss in depth in another video the contents of the bug out bag. I'll put a link to the video in the description section below. Don't worry too much about the items that you'll need to leave in your house. You can always come back to them, especially if you hid them well. There's also what we call the pocket bug out, which is escaping with only the things you have with you at the moment the crisis arises. This escape option is only used when you need to get out immediately. Number 2, exodus stages you should expect. Looking at the history of previous disasters our world has experienced, we can see that there are 4 exodus stages in every crisis. The first stage is the awareness stage. This is a stage where people are starting to grasp the situation and begin to realize how severe and how dire it is. They begin to see that the disaster has a potential to not only cause minor inconvenience, but can actually disrupt their way of life and even cause death. During this stage, it's not uncommon for people to feel a sense of desperation and anxiety, especially if they're not properly prepared for the disaster. More often than not, people will generally be in a state of shock and disbelief. You should take this opportunity to weigh whether bugging in or bugging out is your best option and act on your plan with decisiveness. This will keep you one step ahead of the chaos. The second exodus stage is a panic exodus. In this stage, the majority of the people, or what we call the herd, come out of their shock and denial and start to panic about the situation. They try to get out of the city. This stage is often depicted in disaster movies. This genre of movie is where you see hundreds of cars honking and all stuck in traffic at the borders or toll gates. They're often very angry and shouting as they try their best to get out of the city to survive. The third exodus stage is a voluntary or forced evacuation stage. There are still many people who will decide to bug into their homes to try and ride out the disaster until help arrives. But there will come a time when bugging in is no longer possible or an option. During this stage, those who decide to bug in are going to be forced to evacuate their homes, either by order from the local government, like what Mayor Ray Nagin did in 2005 during Hurricane Katrina, or because the situation calls for it, like when it's expected that the hurricane will result in massive floods. The last stage is the survival stage, where robbing, scavenging, and marauding often occurs. In this exodus stage, the window to safely leave or evacuate the city has already passed. The people left behind are already desperate and lawless, doing whatever they can to survive the situation, or still trying to leave. In this final phase, if at all possible, bugging in until some calm emerges may be your best option. It's critical that you know these exodus stages during a crisis, because assessing what stage you're in at any given time will help you decide on what route to take for your evacuation. Whether the crisis is a hurricane with a pre-warning or a sudden and immediate terrorist attack where the pandemic would ripple out quickly from the epicenter, these 4 exodus stages will exist to some degree. Number 3, planning the bug-out route. Your bug-out route has to be planned out in advance. You can't rely in the moment on a map you thoughtfully decide to keep in your supplies. When you're deciding on what route you should take, you need to think of the slowest route out of town. Routes like back alleys and residential streets are some of the slowest routes that you can take during normal times. However, these routes can be the safest ones you can take after a disaster, since the majority of the people will be first looking for the safest routes available. You should also consider using utility roads, since they are roads that most people don't normally use. Just make sure that you have a pair of bolt cutters in case you need them. It's critical that you pre-map multiple routes out of the metro area, preferable 4 routes from your home point, so you will have different options to take during your bug out in case you need them. Use the best route based upon the situation outside. Use a paper or laminated map and highlight the route you plan to take. Electronic navigation may not be working depending on the type of emergency. You can also use different highlighters to denote the various routes you will take by foot, pedal transit, by car, by boat, and so on. It's also important that you make a quick decision about bugging out. In a sudden calamity, some people usually waste precious moments to take a quick look at the situation. During the Chernobyl incident, the night after the explosion, hundreds of people went on a bridge to look at the glowing reactor as radiation ash fell from the skies. This action wasted precious moments, which can be critical during a disaster situation. You don't need to see the full picture of the situation to make a determination and immediately decide that bugging out to safety is the best option to take. Number 4, keep your planning confidential. It's critical that you keep your bug out planning a secret. You don't want others finding out that you have a safe location somewhere, which will make it vulnerable to the possibility of looting or others suddenly seeking to tag along with you. There are multiple ways that you can plan with your family without making it too obvious to others. You can designate 2 safe locations to meet up if you have multiple people in your family that would need to bug out and are unable to communicate during the disaster. When it comes to communicating important messages, like you already left for the bug out location, you can use codes or clues to let them know this message. A simple action of placing a particular photo frame face down or putting a specific shoe outside the door can be a code for them to know that you already have bugged out. If you prefer leaving notes, you can do that as well, but you have to remember that you should also still use codes. Never place the address of the bug out location or even mention the name of the place, since you never know if other people could loot your home while you're gone and read the message. One example of a coded message you can use is that you went for a summer vacation, which could indicate that you already left the house and went to the summer camping location or property. Once you have already come up with a code to use for communication, you need to let your family members know about it. Let them know what these codes or signals mean so they will know what to do when they see it. The real key here is to have a plan. Give it a secret just among your family and discuss it so everyone knows what to do in a disaster. Just as you might plan a fire drill in your home, knowing how to bug out is just as important. Number 5, public transportation. Believe it or not, public modes of transportation can actually be an option when you're planning to leave the town or city. A few people abandoning their cars on a public road could bring the entire road system to a halt. This would leave you with hundreds or even thousands of people around you angry, irritated, and desperate to get out of town. Depending on the crisis, public transportation might be a safe bet to get out of the city. Catching the last train or plane out of town can be a possibility in the first stages of an exodus. There are already cases in past disaster situations where public transportation played a big role in saving lives and even helping emergency responders. One example is the Sonoma-Marion Rail Transit, which continued to operate and even suspended fares to those in need during the Northern California wildfires in 2018. It's important to remember that when you're trying to get out of the city or town via airplane, no airport will likely allow you to check the full contents of your bug-out bag. So what I mean by plane, here you are completely extricating yourself and your family from the city's disaster to a new location where you won't need a bug-out bag, or using a private plane to a smaller airport. Being able to use public transportation to get out of town prior to disaster will depend greatly on how ahead of the crowd you are when you decide that it's time to leave. Even if you miss the last train or subway and they're already stopping operations, you can still use their tracks to get out of town. It's actually one of the fastest ways you can get out and move down the tracks to quickly get out of the epicenter of the city. You just have to be wary though, since you will likely pass by many crossroads of people stuck in traffic. Work around large congested intersections, keeping a low profile, and try not to draw attention to yourself or your purpose. If there's a river, stream, or aqueduct that passes through your city, you can also use that as a means to get out. Even if you have only a small watercraft, that might be your fastest way to evacuate the city. The water is also going to be an added layer of insulative security as you try to get out. Number 6, personal transportation options. When evacuating prior to or after a disaster, the immediate mode of transportation that we usually think of is cars. While they're usually faster and allow us to haul more stocks and supplies, there are other means of transit to consider. A motorcycle, scooter, bicycle, and even a skateboard can be a viable means of travel. Any mode of transportation that you have in your home that can help you get out faster can be used. The best alternative if using cars is not possible is to use a bicycle. I cannot stress enough the convenience and utility that a bicycle can provide when bugging out of your home. With a bicycle, whether it's a highway or a trail, you can triple or quadruple your speed, cover more ground than on foot, and you're not bound to the confines of the roads. A bicycle is also light enough to carry when you need to and small enough to fit even a small watercraft like a kayak. Bicycles are so useful that the flood of risk experts in the Netherlands suggested using bicycles to quickly evacuate the people living in the city of Randstad every time there's a threat of a flood in the city. The only problem you'll have with bicycles is that you have to pack lightly, using light materials and focusing on essential items. Biking or hiking will require greater exertion on your part. When the adrenaline wears off, you will need to make sure your hydration and caloric needs are taken care of. Hiking and hauling gear long distances will burn calories that you will need to replenish to allow you to continue. The longer your travel is, the more food and water you'll need. Mark along your escape route any locations where food or water might be available: public fountains, vending machines, ponds and lakes, and public parks. Number 7. Away from the danger, but still not safe. Just because you have safely left your city and might be far away from the epicenter of the disaster, you should remain vigilant. You have to realize that you're a stranger to the suburbs and the country. It's not hard to imagine that you might run into some people who are safely away from the disaster, but view you as someone who can bring the disaster they see on the news to their doorsteps. They might look at you as someone who is disrupting the peace and quiet of their neighborhood. This is why it's important that you try to keep a low profile. Avoid passing by crowded areas or places where everyone can easily see you. Some suburbs will have access to edges of wilderness trails. You can use this access to have a safe and less traveled escape route, allowing you to avoid encountering people as much as possible. Many less prepared people are also trying to get away from the epicenter, which means you could still encounter desperate people as they evacuate to survive. To avoid this, you may have to move deeper away from the initial disaster. Get as far away as possible and avoid using the usual routes that people might use. If you need to set up camp, you should first find a secluded patch that is far away from any trail. Once you find an area, just set up a small, discreet, and low-profile campsite. Avoid using fires or bright lights unless you are sure that it is safe, as to prevent alerting others about your position and compromising your safety and supplies. Though you may have a safe and secure bug-out location, The routes you need to pass through to get to that location may not be safe, especially if you're bugging out after a disaster has already happened. This video covers 7 things you'll need to know to ensure that your escape routes are safe. If you're new to prepping and you don't know where to begin, you can check out the different videos on my channel to learn where to start and how to properly prepare yourself and your family during a disaster. Please feel free to like and share this video with your family, friends, and community if you find it useful. Feel free to leave any comments, suggestions, or any added tips that you have in the comment section below. I do read many of the comments and respond to them when I'm able to, usually within the first hour of releasing the video. Remember that there are links in the description section below where you can find more information about things I discuss in this video. If you'd like to be notified when other videos become available, you may want to subscribe to the channel. As always, stay safe out there.